Oh, Alistair's back.
Don't be nervous.
Welcome, Alistair. Lead on.
All right. Hello, councillors. This report seeks the exemption of the Te Motua Hiroa Puketitu Island Governance Trust as a council-controlled organisation. This report is relatively procedural. There is already an existing exemption that is up for review. By way of context, the Local Government Act allows local authorities to exempt CCOs from accountability requirements where the costs and benefits of imposing those requirements would cancel each other out. So the recommendations suggest that there is agreement to grant a further exemption and that this exemption will be reviewed in September 2019. But also note that at any time the exemption can be revoked should it need to be. Open for any questions.
Thank you, Ella. That's fairly up and dry.
I'm happy to move it, Mr. Chairman. I think it's very good.
You're moving, Councillor Simpson. Seconded, Councillor Flipan. Yep. Further, Councillor Fletcher.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask Ella, at this time, given that, I mean, this has been a wonderful governance trust, but given that it's always hard to get things on the agenda, is there anything else we should be giving consideration to at this time to save council having additional consideration for the future?
No, the exemption from the CCO requirements is purely procedural. I would say that the governance trust is still in formative phases and that perhaps it might be appropriate for that trust to report to Environment and Community Committee at a later stage on their progress.
But I would have assumed that would be happening as of right now?
I spoke with, through the chair, spoke with one of the trustees yesterday, and there hasn't been a great deal of reporting as of today because the level of activity of the trust hasn't been particularly large, but there was a commitment to report to the Environment and Community Committee in the future.
Oh, that's fine. So you can give me the assurance that the accountability provisions are adequate. Oh, that's fine.
Right, we have a mover and a seconder and we have no further comment or questions. We'll put those resolutions. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, Ella. Thank you, Alistair. Right, we will move on to a good news story.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
New call?
Jeez.
New call. Mark and Paul, we have.
Afternoon, councillors. It is, yeah. It's very nice to be here and talk about a good news stories in the technology space. I'll just introduce myself. So my name's Mark Demmer. I'm the Director of ICT. To my right is Paul Thomason, who is the Director of the New Core program. Just want to quickly take you through a quick presentation deck, and then we'll come back to the report.
Thank you, Mark.
So a little bit about, I'm going to cover off a little bit of old ground, just give you again a bit of a view of what we inherited through ATA and the purpose of New Core. Again, just to talk about what we've actually managed to achieve.
This is the
As you can see from this, there's shows there's quite a lot of detail in there, and it was pretty messy. Would be probably my summary of the systems architecture that that we actually inherited. Pretty much for each council, for each one of the legacy councils that we we landed with, there was a different mechanism, different technology set and application set that delivered all of the capabilities. And as you can see from that map, it was pretty complex. Lots of data integration between lots of different system sets. The view on the right-hand side is really where we've managed to end up. So we've managed to consolidate those capabilities into a single platform. And again, this diagram is really just to give you a better view of, it wasn't the easiest place for us to just run day-to-day business on. So the consideration of trying to drive simplicity and value for money out of the merger, this is really what we were driving for. I want to just give you a bit of a use case in context of this particular diagram. If, for an example, you were a citizen who lived in the Manukau region, paying your rates for your property there, beside your dog licence, but you also had a rental property, say, in the Waitakere. If you worked in the city, if you, through the merger of the legacy councils, when you would have come to someone, say, like Bledisloe, to make inquiries, to maybe pay your dog licence fees, the customer services rep would have had to go through multiple systems that they weren't particularly trained on, because they were trained on the Auckland City solution set, for them to then use the Manukau to interrogate dog licence would have been a single system. To then interrogate your rates calculation for Manukau would have been different, yet again differently when you go to look at the rental property in Waitakere. So you can imagine what that customer experience would have been like for you as the customer, but also for the customer service rep. They would have been floating through multiple systems to be able to complete any of the questions that you may have had. The consolidation of Nucor has put all that into one capability. So we've now got fully trained customer services reps across the full city who can answer any question no matter where your service is being delivered to you. And that's really one of the key outcomes. And you can imagine the efficiencies and effectiveness that's driven back in our organisation. I'll now hand over to Paul, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about the program.
Thank you, Mark. Just to reiterate again, this will be something which you would have seen before back in 2014 and 15, but the overall mantra and drive for the Nucor program was around to consolidate, i.e. go from the many to the one, to then simplify and standardise upon those new systems and processes that we now have across all of Auckland Council. But equally, it also provided the capability for the business to then to be able to optimise. So while we did deliver some of those through Nucor, they now have the capability to do much more, especially, for example, in the digital area in terms of how they may wish to interact with their customers. So that capability is now in place to be able to be built upon. On this particular slide is just showing a view in a slightly different way. We only show it for customer services, which is at the top left-hand side there, but equally those lines you see there would apply to building control, resource management, etc. going down there, but it becomes very difficult to view on the slide if we drew all of those lines in there. But in essence, what that is saying is that there is now a single view and a single system that our people within council are able to operate across. So customer services, for example, anywhere where a customer services person is located is able to see all of Auckland Council, and as Mark has just described, be able to deal with any of the services, queries or requests they may receive from customers. We have around just under 35 or 3,500 people who have been trained, who are able to use the system, whether it be as users or be able to view the system within that. So it's a significant number of people within Auckland Council that have been trained. It's worth pointing out that all of that training, probably 95% of the people who conducted the training, so actually ran the training courses themselves, were Auckland Council people. So there's been a lot of learning and knowledge transfer and also knowledge retention that's been able to be achieved throughout the Nucor program as well. So the key things in here is we talk about is around providing that one view of the customer is a key outcome from this. And also that the fact that the work, there's the ability around efficiency, so work can be more easily shared across the whole of the Auckland Council region, where in the past it was more difficult to share it because people were not familiar with the various other systems that existed across the region. So we now have moved beyond that. This particular slide is just to really give a little bit of a view around one, what Nucor delivered, but also the fact that it is an enabler for the future, for many of the future things that council wish to do. So around, you can see in that second column, it's a lot of the items are put in place as a foundation architecture in place. We have delivered some online, digital, whatever terminology you like to use, services as well. Or in some cases, we have made sure those services which were only available in some regions of council are now available across all of Auckland Council. So from a Nucor perspective, that includes things such as signing up for e-rates, rates, direct debits, paying infringements online as examples, being able to pay some of the consents, licence, renewals, rates, etc. online, dog registration renewal, some licensing applications such as hairdressers and alcohol being able to be online. So there's by no means a breadth of all services provided by council, but we've been able to deliver those and make sure they're available across the region, and clearly there's an ability for that to be an ongoing development to occur in that place. So the foundation and the platform is in place to enable that to occur.
Members, I'll just comment at the moment. Sorry, I'm having to leave. So, but to show my complete endorsement of this matter, I'm going to move the item, and Councillor Simpson is going to second the item, and she's going to take over as chair.
You can't move then leave.
Can. Yep.
Can.
Yep.
I don't think so.
Yep. You can.
Not like now, right now. Okay, oh, right now.
I don't think you can.
Not when the voters.
Not if there's a divided vote on it. You can't move something.
Right, we can do that, but actually it's been pointed out to me if there were any amendments, then that does
Correct.
cause a problem. So we're going to,
vote.
I will pull my
By
endorsement of it, but I will still say I totally endorse it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark.
Don't leave.
So you need
You've got to move it and
You need a
if there's
mover.
any amendments, eh? If there's any amendments, the mover and the seconder will remain, I think. So, sorry, gentlemen, to have been interrupted mid-flight. Mark.
Who's going to be mover and seconder?
Ross has and I
But we're finished.
Just one more slide.
Yeah, a couple slides. Really, the only points to make on this is that the full solution for Nucor has been deployed. We did so last year for Waitakere, what was known as Waitakere, North Shore and Rodney, and this year for the remainder of Auckland Council. So the full solution has been deployed on the number of go-lives within that period. So final milestones, we have handed over back to the business from Nucor program perspective, so that is completed. We do, however, need to complete a project closure report, which is well in train of being completed. We will fully and formally have exited all of our post-go-live support activities this week. As I say, we are actually at that point now. There is a post-implementation review that will be done, which is being organised through our internal audit, and Audit New Zealand also are interested in that, the post-implementation review, so that will occur over the next week or two, and therefore, following that, the complete project closure report, as well as the benefits realisation plan, will be finalised and will be presented to the Audit and Risk Committee at their next meeting in August, I believe. The very last slide is around from the financial perspective. So based on the approved budget we had from November 2014, we will be completing slightly under budget. The CapEx budget for that was 150.9. We will be 1.1 mil beyond that, so that will be 149.8 million, and our OPEX, or operational spend budget, was 6 million, and that'll be finishing at 4.3 mil, so all up $2.8 million under the approved budget from November 14. So that's the presentation, and happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You deserve a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, questions? Mr Walker, Councillor Walker.
Yeah, just an observation, just to kick things off. And while I understand that we are meeting up with our expectations around the budget that we're dealing with is a dramatically escalated budget. So my understanding is that against the original budget, which was around 71 million, that this project has effectively doubled in cost, even taking into account some additional 20 million. So as a first-term councillor on the Auckland Council from 2010, I certainly attended a number of meetings where there was significant escalation, significant concerns. I know a number of people aren't here anymore that were involved in this project. I do think it's necessary to actually tell the truth, warts and all, and we don't seem to have a very good job of doing that. We keep pushing the reset button. So I just want to make that observation. This has been a project that has escalated significantly, and it's also escalated in terms of the delays. So I just want to put that on the table. I've just got a question, and that's around the savings. So how are we looking at in terms of the savings of the project, and that goes to comparison with the original savings that were forecast back in 2012 as compared to what we're looking at now?
So from the benefit realisation, we're just working through that plan as we speak. And as Paul mentioned, we're going to bring the final plan to the Audit and Risk Committee. It would be fair to say we've already delivered some of the benefits through some of the business locations. And in the technology landscape, we have also started to reduce the number of FTEs that were supporting those legacy systems. So we've already realised some of the cost savings that were identified as part of the original plan. We have quite a robust plan now for the decommissioning, which will save significant amount of money. We're talking multiple millions of dollars as we start to decommission those systems. So we have a roadmap now for those decommissioning activities, and they'll continue over the course of the next 12 months.
If I may, through the Chair, just to add to Mark's response to your questions, Councillor Walker, 2 points. The reset of the new core program in 2014, as you correctly say, there's those of us that are here talking about it today were not part of that. However, that did address the fact that the root cause of the issues in terms of the budget difference between the start of the project and when it was reset in 2014 was the fact that it wasn't scoped correctly, because it was simply a situation at that point in time, due to some of the legacy system issues that the two gentlemen presenting today have indicated, you didn't know what you didn't know. And that is fact, it happens sometimes. Secondly, to your point around the benefits realisation and savings, I concur with Mark's response to your question, but it would also add that the savings that are expected as a result of new core have already been built into the budgets. The budgets have been reduced accordingly, and they are then part of the overall level of efficiency savings too that we need to obtain each year in order to balance that budget. They will be tracked and reported both to the Audit and Risk Committee, who will take an interest due to the fact that it is Nucor is a key focus review matter for Audit New Zealand as part of their work program, and this committee will also be able to monitor that as we do throughout the LTP discussions.
Thank you, Sue. Did you have a
Hadn't
supplementary?
finished, and really just a commendation, and that is that we haven't gone over the escalated budget. So
It's a question time.
So that's
Councillor.
a really good thing.
Question.
Just have a question, and that's around the ability of members of the public to interact, particularly through our website, and that goes to enhanced search engine optimization so that you can actually find stuff. How are we going around that?
So, look, New Core is absolutely, it's a foundation layer. It's bringing all the information to a single source of the truth, and it does allow the digitisation of those services, you know, a much easier proposition for us. So while the benefits are being, you know, that we talk about are really hard savings due to the consolidation project that we've just completed, actually this is the vehicle for us now to do more of the digitisation. So there, you know, it is definitely a platform that allows us to do a heck of a lot more in the digital space. You know, as examples, things like the bookings. So at the last meeting, we did present around the website consolidation, which actually is part of that consolidation program as well. But there will be more and more opportunities and activities to deliver more services online.
Thank you. Councillor Quacks, your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to acknowledge the comments made by Councillor Walker, because it has been, there's been a number of resets in the budget, and so while we now are proudly saying that it has come in within budget, it probably it's a much different budget than we originally saw. But I do support this this program, and I think that it's great that we've now got to the stage where we have, and our interaction with the ratepayers of Auckland will be improved. The council staff efficiency will be improved, and hopefully productivity will be improved.
Getting to your question, Councillor.
Yes, I do have a question. I'm coming to a question. So, and I know that the former CEO, Doug Mackay, was very keen on this, and one of the reasons given, or one of the primary reasons given, is because we would be able to decrease our head count. So I wonder if I can get a bit of an update on what this kind of project might do to the council headcount.
So the business case identified a number of FTEs that the project would save for council, and especially in the technology space. We have almost completely delivered the FTE count that was required. The reality, though, is, you know, as a foundation for us to move forward with further efficiency gains through leveraging this new technology, there will be more people savings that will come, but they will be identified through those change projects that it's actually allowed us to move on. So giving you an exact number right now of what the potential FTE, we don't know yet, but what we do know is now with this platform, there will be you know, a significant number of additional initiatives that will be using this base to drive further cost savings.
Can you just, supplementary, can you just remind us of what, if there were any figures put out on what the FTE savings might be?
I can answer that in terms of in terms of the benefits in New Core that were there. So there was around, I'll just actually have it here. So in terms of reduced admin support required in planning, reporting and projects, there was around just over $1 million of savings from that within the business case. With regards to more standardised, simplified process and efficiencies that came with that and some of the scale, there was around $4 million or just over $4 million of benefits within that. That, as was mentioned, is built into the budgets and has been ensured that that has been achieved within there.
All right, Councillor. Councillor Casey.
Yeah, I've got 3 questions. My first one was just an assurance that the Auckland family includes the 6 CCOs and all are fully integrated into New Core.
So New Core was specifically just for Auckland Council, and it doesn't include the water care or Auckland Transport. However, we do provide some shared services to some of the other CCOs. And so Nucor has improved the efficiencies of how we're providing those services to some of those CCOs.
So, yeah, I knew you were going to say that because it was in your report about Watercare's separate billing system. Is there not a plan to integrate the whole of the Auckland family, including Auckland Transport and Watercare?
Yep, so we're actively talking to all of the CCOs about a roadmap for the entire family across the full technology suite. So we're building a group-wide ICT strategy, and then we'll plan out how we're all going to merge together. In some areas, for example, like Watercare and their billing, it is quite different how council bills against the consumptive model that Watercare use. So it may not be appropriate, but we are in those midst of those conversations to really interrogate what is the right solution across the family suite.
Right, so how much, what's the implications financially of incorporating everybody into our new core system?
We haven't got to that stage yet.
So we're not finished. So we're talking about as if today's the end of it, but it's not really, is it?
So again, Nucor was specifically focused on the Auckland Council, not for the CCOs.
But they are Auckland Council as well. So when you talk about Auckland Council, they are part of it.
Correct.
So we're not finished, are we?
They weren't part of the original scope. But there is now, again, because of this platform, now we're in the second stage of what are the opportunities across the family to become more effective using technology.
So when will you be coming back to us with your next stage report and its funding implications?
So I need to just continue to work with my colleagues. We are now just kicking off this engagement of creating the new corporate strategy. My view is that it's probably going to take us a good few months to get everyone around the table and start designing what that new architecture will look like. So I would expect we're probably around 4 to 5 months away before we can bring something back.
Okay. So you probably answered my second question, which was what happens to the 2.8 million that you saved?
So the capital has been returned to the central governing body, who will allocate those funds to the next appropriate initiative. The operating money that has been returned again will be used the same through a governance body called the investment group, who look to allocate money for future initiatives that are driving additional cost savings across the group.
So it's not being transferred on to stage 2?
No, they will come back and make a further request for funding.
And my third question was just about hacking and how vulnerable we are. It's probably not the right question to ask you because it's a risk issue, but we haven't been touched so far.
That is correct.
By the international hacking scandal.
Yes, that is correct. So I also look after the security group who are tasked with keeping us safe. The reality is, like any other organisation, we do have some exposure, but we have quite a robust security process where we have the perimeter. We're fully patched, so we're as secure as we can be. We monitor all of the alerts that we get from the industry about future threats or threats that are current.
Good to hear.
And so again, it's through a bunch of really good people. We're keeping council safe. Like anything, we're also ready to respond on those occasions where something does get through the edge, and what we can do is actually quarantine devices or computers that have been affected, so they don't then spread the virus or anything across.
If I might, I just had one very last question, and as I've been reading with interest what happened down in Wellington, and I wondered if you've got any learnings from that with regard to the failure of their new IT system.
So we have actually reached out to them to just talk about where they are and see if we can provide any insights on the journey that we've just been through. So we're actively talking to them.
Right, thank you, Councillor. Your Worship.
I will make a very brief comment that we usually throw a lot of brickbats around this table, and when a bouquet is deserved, it should be given. And to you guys and your team, and Sue and her team, the savings on implementation of 2.8 million are impressive. And I've sat through countless new IT schemes at central government. INSIS, the police one, which probably cost $100 million poured down the drain.
Are we asking questions?
But you're guilty of this yourself, Councillor, I'm sure, so you'll give me a little leeway on this occasion, if you don't mind the pun. and Nova Pay and Customs. But what I'd like greater clarification of, and there may be a reason why you're not ready to be as clear as you want to be, it's the questions that have been asked about the ongoing, how much money are we saving on an ongoing basis, both in staffing terms and in dollar terms. I've picked up, you talked about administrative support, 1 million, simplified process, 4 million, but I'm trying to get a ballpark picture. If it's not about the implementation of the scheme, but the ongoing saving of having a proper IT system in place. Can you be a little bit, or maybe Sue could be a little bit more specific about the sort of savings we can expect over time on an annual basis because we have a system that works properly?
So Mark, do you want to start first, or?
Would you want me to?
Sue.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, the number that you're looking for, Mr Mayor, is $10 million per annum. And that excludes some of the forward work that Mark has articulated that as further benefits that can be obtained, but as yet have not been quantified.
Yeah, well, I think in anybody's terms, a $10 million saving a year is pretty substantial, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Lee.
Just ask a question, Madam Chair. The 70 million a year the council spends on IT costs, salaries, how much is that related to Nucor and how much is it related to IT generally?
Of the 70 million, sorry, I don't have the exact number, but for the support staff who look after the SAP product, I would say we're talking, that's probably around, say about 15 million in salaries, and then the ongoing support costs that we pay to SAP would be around 5 million. So you may be talking about, say, around 20 million.
So 20 million out of the 70 is related to Nucor.
Yep, and that is, but this is the core part of the services that council offer.
So I won't be questioning you about the rest of it because it's probably outside your field. Thank you.
All right, Councillor, thank you. Councillor Canchward.
Yeah, very quick. Gentlemen, last term we identified Nucor with the Office of the Auditor General as a critical risk for council. Bear in mind this project is just about landed successfully, and congratulations to you, well done for that. When will the audit's final report be coming through? Office of the Auditor General's report, do you know that?
Sorry, I'm not aware of the time frame, but it's actively now. So they're waiting for us to finish, they'll wait for us to do the PIR, so the end of the project report, and they'll be waiting for that as an input, I would suggest.
So it's reasonably imminent then? Yeah.
If I may, through you, Madam Chair, just to add to that, the Auditor General's report would likely be included in their half-year audit to 31 December 2017. We did have at the Audit and Risk Committee last week, we set the expectation of the project closure and post-implementation review report coming to the committee on the 25th of August, being their next meeting. The staff of the Auditor General's office were in attendance and confirmed that they were comfortable with that and they had no issues.
Right, that's good news. Thank you.
Councillors, any further questions? Councillor Walker, another question.
Yeah, given the success of what we're rolling out, are we getting interest from other councils to pick up on what we're doing? And obviously we've got a lot of sunk intellectual capital in this.
Yes, we are. So again, we're actively talking to some of the other councils about how they could leverage some of the capabilities we've created.
Good. No further questions. We'll go into comments. Anyone want to make any comments other than those that have already happened? Councillor Lee.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
For bringing this saga to an end, hopefully. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that. At the same time, I think while it's human nature to emphasise the positive, especially in councils and the political area, I think we need to be absolutely realistic about this whole affair because the public has a general idea, not in that much detail, but when you read figures like 1.2 billion in the National Business Review for all of council IT costs since the establishment of the Super City, you get an idea of what the public perception is. And the public perception is not necessarily positive. in fact, they're aware that there has been major blowouts of IT in the new super city. I understand while 1.2 billion sounds a lot, and it is a lot, a hell of a lot, the council, all of council legacy costs and the legacy councils before the super city was about 120 million a year. So if you multiply that over 6 years, which the 1.2 billion is, it's a significant figure too, but still only about half of what the super city IT costs are. And so when you bear in mind that the whole motivation for amalgamation and the super city was to extract efficiencies and savings, then that's not the Bryce's achievement of Rodney Hyde's legacy. So I think we need to be clear about that. In regard to new core, there's been a number of resets, and the cost, real cost, of probably over 200 million if you take before the reset or more. But I think we need to go back to the original decision, and that is there was a choice on spending 3 million on upgrading existing legacy systems or 20 million on new core. And new core from that original 20 million has significantly blown out. So let's not be opening the champagne bottles because the ratepayers will not be. Here's the interesting thing about the alternative decision that was rejected at the start of the super city, and that is retaining the ARC system. Auckland Transport ended up with the ARC system, and I think they've spent less than 20 million on that, and ATEED would prefer to use that system than new core. So that was a very bad decision taken at the start of the super city, but fortunately or unfortunately, the people involved in that decision, that enormously costly decision, have now gone. But in terms of trumpeting our new efficiency, okay, let's not trumpet it too loudly, because it's stuff like that that means that only 18% or helps the public when they say only 18% of people have confidence in council decisions. So yes, let's sign it off now, but let's not pretend that this was a great thing. In fact, it was the opposite. Thank you.
Alternative
Your
facts.
Worship and councillors, I wasn't going to speak, but I'm just going to close this, seeing nobody else wants to speak. And I just want to say congratulations. You weren't around at the beginning. In my opinion, it wasn't scoped correctly. When it was scoped correctly, we came in on time, under budget, and with some serious savings. I just want to correct, though, I can't help myself, Councillor, the total cost to council is actually only about 600k, not 1.2 billion. 300k from million, sorry, 300 million from Auckland Transport and Water Care. So it also includes the depreciation of 150 million, saving us $10 million a year. $10 million a year. Saw how quickly that could be lost on trains just only a few minutes ago. Invested. So, invested. So look, I just want to say again, thank you very much. And with no further comments, Councillor Clow has moved. I will second the recommendations. I think we don't. Do we need a division? I think we haven't been called for. So
He's not here.
He's not here, you can't.
That was a
have
point of raised.
I checked. Someone said that was okay.
You can't.
Is it okay?
If there's a divided vote which has been asked for, he's not here to vote.
All right. Well, okay. So I'm happy to move then. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Councillor Cashmore. We'll change that. Recommendations A and B. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the public agenda. I'd like to close the public part and move the exclusion of the public and break for lunch. Do I have a seconder for?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. All those in favour say aye. Against? We will break for lunch and come back at... 1:35.